for Social Misfits. I started on in May 2021. I was the very first hire for the restaurant because the owner knew that marketing was so valuable, and he knew he wanted someone to brand out his abstract vision into an actual reality. So it was I was brought on early to be a part of that, and it's been amazing.
And then just the background of the restaurant, where does the theme come from, and how does Albert Einstein fit into all of that?
Okay, so Social Misfits, so Spencer Raymond is local to Michigan. He was formerly a franchisee owner of a concept called Grab a Green Food and Juice. And if you're familiar with Beyond Juice and Eatery or like a Freshie, kind of fast, healthy, casual concepts, he had an opportunity in 2017 to open up the first locations in Michigan. This was a smaller franchise. If we're talking on a nationwide scale, like Beyond Juice and Eateries, for instance, there's like 48 plus locations just in Michigan growing. Grab a Green has 25 around the US, and that's it. So it started as a fast casual franchise, two moms. They sold it to a management service company out of Arizona, and Spencer wanted to open these locations in Michigan and wanted to kind of make them more unique to Michigan, because there's Arizona, there's Las Vegas, there's California, and he's like, Michigan is different demographic. People want to know where their food is sourced. They care about their partners. They care about the values that they're partnering with, and the company, morals and stuff. And what actually was inspired him to create Social Misfits in his own concept was he more or less kind of felt like he was constantly getting beaten down by the services company, the management services, because he would come out of meetings and he wouldn't be like, oh, proactive and inspired. He would be like, I'm not trying to do anything wrong, but basically they're not helping him with marketing, they're not helping him with SEO, they're not bringing any awareness to his specific locations in Michigan, and he wasn't trying to do anything out of the norm, go outside, break the rules. He was like, no, listen, I can make all these locations better, I can make them thrive, I have all these great ideas, but they were very restrictive, like you have to use menu items sourced from here, you can't only do this, you can't have your own social pages, you can't have your own website. So he actually came out of one of these meetings feeling very beaten down, and he said, you know what, I am more or less sick of the corporate culture, and I want to create my own concept of everything I envision, and that just thrives off of people that are not trying to, be bad, more like misfits in the world. So he kind of referenced it as like the Walter Whites and the Dexters, and like he's like, people that are doing bad things but for like somewhat right intentions, I guess, and not trying to, be super rebellious, off the charts and stuff, but because they want to make something of them, because they see it differently than everyone else. So he actually wrote, and it's funny, if you look at our early posts on with Social Misfits, I constantly reference, it all started with a napkin. He actually was in a meeting, like didn't have a piece of paper, and just had all these thoughts, and just started writing in his car like a pen and a napkin. And he wrote the word anti-hero because he kind of kept feeling like, I'm the anti-hero. This is the anti-hero. I'm not trying to do anything. And then he started thinking about iconic misfits, like people who were like that, didn't really fit in, but ended up finding their own way. And Albert Einstein ended up being one of the most iconic misfits, right, of all time, that he wanted, this is my logo, this is my brand, this is our voice, I want it to be the image that people see when they see Einstein. And specifically with Einstein, a little backstory with him is he was always more like lagged academically. He actually had a nickname called the Dopey One, and he was kind of teased in school, bullied, and he didn't graduate, and then ended up graduating. So there's a whole story behind all of his sentiments, of just being an iconic misfit. So we decided to start with that, and then branch that into other misfits, and you can kind of see around the decor, just kind of symbolic people that Spencer has kind of like, been inspired by, more or less, as he's been growing up. So.
Change here, and if so, how often?
So we strive to be seasonally. I feel like every restaurant strives to spring, summer, fall, winter. Since we started, I would say we probably went to kind of a spring and a fall, so more or less like 2 times a year. We just did one in fall, we're kind of doing another one again. So yeah, I would say maybe 2 to 3 times a year is what it is.
Are they like new dishes, or do you like go back to the old ones?
We have a lot of our OG staples, ones that we've become known for, and then we have swapped some stuff out, and more or less a lot of it was based on the demand. So waffles, cocktails, coffee, everything we've done. And then last fall was our first time we're missing out on a lunch crowd here. Maybe some people don't want these big, heavy waffles for lunch. So we actually incorporated a not waffle section, and we did sandwiches and salads. But those actually have waffle elements in it. So some of the sandwiches that, I don't know if you saw when they were up in Expo when you're here, but they have like crusted, waffle encrusted sourdough batter. So it's like mixed with the sandwich bread that's used. So.
And then how does the inspiration and the names for the menu come? Because there's like some really cool like the Peter Parker.
Yeah, yes. So Spencer, part of all being inspired by all these misfits, he wanted to take it a step further and be very detailed in his brand. And he wanted to be almost speakeasy style, so kind of subtly. So I know when I first started to market and brand it out, it wasn't like, oh, all these names that he's coming up with, we're gonna tell the public who they are specifically referring to. He had a James Beard award-winning chef consultant that helped him through his vision. He's like, I don't know, I kind of want to incorporate these names, but like, is it too hard? Did all this back-end research on specifics of not only just naming the waffles after them, and I don't know if you are aware, but obviously, so Teen Spirit, I'll give you an example, is our mac and cheese waffle. Teen Spirit after Kurt Cobain is what the waffle is named after. Kurt Cobain had a obsession with Kraft mac and cheese. He actually had like 2 boxes were listed on his rider like before every show that he would have to have, and he would eat them like every day. Obviously we don't have Kraft mac and cheese, but that was just an example of something we incorporated into a huge waffle named it Teen Spirit. And then the dope one I'll say too, for instance, we obviously had to have one named after our logo. So that was nicknamed, named after Albert Einstein. It's a porcini mushroom sauce with asparagus, and there's bunch of different types of cremini mushrooms and oyster mushrooms on it as well. He had an obsession with mushrooms and asparagus. He actually was a harvester and he had his own asparagus garden and his own mushroom garden. So there's more in details with every single waffle that you'll find, but that was, Spencer kind of was, he actually had a lot too that never made the menu. So as we're thinking of stuff seasonally, he's had other misfits that he's like, oh, I could easily incorporate, you know, them and their interests and kind of little subtle stuff like that. So,
What are some of the most popular items on the menu?
So some of ours, but on since day one because they've been so popular, our #1 selling sweet waffle is the Peter Parker. So if you haven't had that, that's a deep fried, almost like churro, cinnamon sticks, cinnamon dusted, and we have a coffee cream and a dulce de leche whipped sauce that goes on the side. And then our savory is the hashtag, and I feel like that's just kind of an OG like breakfast. There's a bunch of potato waffle hash, chicken sausage, and hot sauce put on it, and an egg. I feel like a lot of people naturally gravitate towards that as a breakfast item. Teen Spirit, is the mac and cheese waffle that I was mentioning, is also up there in our Country Grammar, which is our chicken and waffles. I feel like that's also like a staple everywhere with waffles. So those are like all of our top popular selling items.
And then what's your favorite on the menu?
My favorite's the RBG. I'm a big lox bagel cream cheese lover. I don't know if you are or have had that, but that's a twist on it. So we use waffles for the almost bagel-like toast points that we put in for, and it has lox and cream cheese and a little bit of smoked trout roe caviar on it, and shaved onion, and it just meets the craving of a bagel and cream cheese with lox. So that's my absolute favorite.